Hey everyone, Whitney here with a quick message from the sponsor of this video, Green Mountain Services. Join us for the 6th annual Cerebral Palsy Conference on October 1st and 2nd, 2021. This is a virtual event that can be attended by the comfort of your own home. There will be 2 days of networking, sessions, and high-quality award-winning speakers. Registration is free. Go to cerebralpalsyconference.org for more information. Providing cerebral palsy advocates, an event for networking and education. Hope to see you there. Hey guys, this is Whitney and welcome back to another episode of Spastic Chatter. If you didn't know, Spastic Chatter is a platform meant to feature those in the cerebral palsy community, and I get together weekly with individuals with CP like myself to have an uncensored chat, if you will, about what it's like living with this type of disability. And for this week, I have Alex, and I met her on Instagram. I found her on Instagram. I think that's a common theme with all my episodes now. That's where I find people through Instagram. And I just thought she was awesome. And talking to her before this, I learned so much about her, and she just seems even more awesome. So I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we'll get on to the conversation. So take it away, Alex.
First of all, I just want to say again how honored I am to be on this podcast. I think that it's amazing what you're doing, and I was all for it as soon as I saw your message. I was like, yes, this is awesome. I can't wait to be a part of this. But yeah, my name is alex.slaney. I live in Montreal, Quebec. I'm 19 years old. I study media, and I have right hemiplegia, cerebral palsy, as well as epilepsy. And I'm very excited to be on here and speak about my social media platforms and what it was like to grow up with cerebral palsy. So yeah, I'm very excited.
That's awesome. So wanted just to like give a little backstory on your life. One of the questions I regularly came to ask my guest is, how was your childhood like growing up with CP? Was it any different than a regular childhood? Like I know when people ask me that, I'm just like, I don't know how to answer that question. Like, it was pretty normal, I think. So was
Yeah.
your childhood?
Well, I mean, like for us, for sure, as people that struggle with disability, growing up, it's like we grow up with it, so we know it's kind of just drilled into our brain how to like adapt to things. So when someone asked me to, I'm like, well, it was just like I I just grew up. So I completely understand that. My toddler life, I mean, and throughout my childhood, I did have my struggles, and just adapting to stuff, especially growing up. It's something that you kind of grow accustomed to, having to adapt to literally everything in your life. So again, like you've said, when someone asks you like, oh, what's it like growing up with cerebral palsy? You're like, well, I mean, it's different from how you grew up, but for me, it's normal because I've been doing it my entire life. So that's kind of when people ask me if it's difficult to adapt to things and stuff like that. For me, I tell them it can be, but I've been adapting for 19 years, so it's my life. It's me.
Yeah.
So it's just something that I've kind of grown accustomed to, and I've learned to accept myself and love myself for who I am, and just kind of just go along with that. So yeah.
Yeah, like I can totally relate to what you just said, and this might get a little off. Well, this might, like, I'm gonna kind of jump to different topics because what you just brought up. You said something about like people asking you how it is adapting to certain things, but for us, I wouldn't necessarily call it like adapting because we don't, from my perspective, because we don't know any different. Like we don't know what it's like to not have a disability and necessarily have to adapt to a different lifestyle, because this is the lifestyle that we've known for the whole all our life.
Exactly. So I mean, to an able-bodied person, the way that we do stuff as the disabled community, as people with disabilities, they're like, oh, you're adapting to what a normal thing to do is, right? But for us, we grew up doing it that way. So for us, it's just our nature to do this stuff this certain way because we grew up like that. So I completely understand. And it's like, it can be something as simple as zipping up a jacket, the way that you hold like the zipper, or, you know, buttering a piece of toast. Like, those are all things that we've grown accustomed to doing the way that we're doing. And to someone that's able-bodied, they're like, oh, I can't imagine how difficult it is to adapt like that. But you're like, well, I've been doing it, like it's in my nature. And so you can kind of put that to anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like cerebral palsy is like a disability that you're born with, like, or that you acquire like shortly after birth. So we don't know any different, as opposed to like if you get an accident and you're used to something traumatic happens to you, and that's how you acquire your disability. Yes, that would be. I can see where that question would come to mind, like how hard is it like to adapt to things. But for a person that has lived with a disability for their entire life, I don't necessarily see it as adapting. So
for sure, and I'll completely agree with you. And it's our life. You know, we grew up not knowing anything else, so we did it the way that we could do it, and that's that's us. Like, for me, like, it took me sorry, I'm like going over, I'm talking a lot, but I'm so passionate about this stuff. I can talk about it for hours and hours. And obviously we can't stay on for that long, but I'm very grateful that I'm actually able to talk about it. But it took me a very, very long time to honestly accept myself for who I was and know that this is who I am, and I just have to embrace it to the fullest. Because once I hit elementary school, I was extremely bullied all throughout my high school life too, up until the last year of high school, because I ended up switching high schools. It was really bad, and I struggled a lot, and it brought down my confidence a lot. And then when I finally switched high schools, it changed everything. I finally felt accepted. I had friends. I didn't feel like I was being left out in any situation because of my disability. I didn't feel like I needed to try to be friends with anyone. And really, that's when I fully started accepting myself for who I was, because I realized that people were accepting me for who I was. And I think that after that, I had already had, well, this is a whole other topic to do with social media, which we can get into afterwards. But at the age of 17 is when I fully started to accepting myself. And by like now, I have like pretty much accepted myself for who I am, and I'm embracing it within myself. But I love the fact that I'm able to embrace myself and encourage other people to do the same on all of my social media platforms, which I'm sure we're going to get into. Yeah. So it took a total turn into a positive thing with how my childhood in terms of my education life was with my disability. But
that's awesome, though, because you're still so young, and that's awesome that you come to that realization like this early in life, because I don't know if I can say the same, like, because I didn't fully come to like be prideful of my disability till I was like probably in my uh probably in my middle 20s. um and I'm 31 right now, so the fact that you're doing it at 19 is like that that's that's amazing. So so kudos to you. um
Thank you.
and we and
Oh, I don't want to cry. Oh, I'm getting
oh
emotional now. This is
uh,
bad. It's fine.
it's
Continue.
all good. So do you want to talk about how you got into like social media and like how you started like your you want to walk us through that your journey with social media and like advocating for disability for people with disabilities and
For sure.
that.
So, when I was 15, I always loved videography, and I was obsessed with YouTube. I wanted to start a YouTube channel, but my parents only let me start a YouTube channel when I was 15. So, as soon as I turned 15, I asked my dad to borrow one of his cameras, and I made a video, and I edited it, and I uploaded it onto YouTube, and then I decided that I was going to start putting content out on YouTube to do with my disability. So it started off with a video explanation talking about my cerebral palsy diagnosis and how I was diagnosed, and that I was born with it. And then that video got like several views, and I wasn't expecting it. And then after that, I was making videos about just living with a disability and what it's like, and just driving like learner's permit updates, and just general stuff that as a disabled person I struggle with. There are videos that I've made that's like 10 things that I struggle with as a teen with right hemiplegia, and just listing like a couple things, like something as simple as like tying my hair. So I started off really with that, and I really enjoyed it. I was very invested. And then school, like I got into college, and it started getting a little more difficult for me to keep up with, as much with YouTube. And at the time, last summer, TikTok was blowing up like crazy. And I didn't have like a serious account, but one day I was like, you know what? Why don't I just try to start posting awareness and stuff to do with my disability on TikTok, and just see, what nothing can hurt by doing that. Just see if I can get out there and get some people's attention. Like, I wasn't expecting anything, but I made a few videos, and some of them started getting a recognition, and I was like, wait, this is not what I was expecting. And one of my videos now has over 800,000 views and like over 100,000 likes. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is something that I need to start doing. If I'm getting as much as a recognition as I'm getting right now, which I fully didn't expect, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try. I started doing it every single day, uploading like 3 or 4 times a day, and just watching people who like have the same thing as same disability as me, and different types of cerebral palsy. And I was just overwhelmed with the amount of love that I got, and the amount of messages like thanking me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to continue this, because this is why I wanted to start in the first place. I wanted people to feel like it was a safe place for them to speak to me and to talk to me, and to relate to someone who has the same disability. So I continued, and I still do it to this day. And it's been a little over a year since I started, and I have accumulated 12,000 followers, which is kind of mind blowing to me, because I never expected it to be like, I never expected it to go to that. But I'm very, very grateful for it. And I'm so happy that I'm capable of spreading awareness, not only about my cerebral palsy, but also about my epilepsy, because there's so many things that people don't know about to do with it. And I think that the more people that are finally embracing themselves online for who they are, the better that social media is going to turn into something that people feel like is accepting more. So I'm so happy that I'm able to put myself out there like that and be able to have people relating to me and feel comfortable. And I just, the whole thing, I've always been a person that's wanted to help people. And for me to be able to put myself out there on social media, which is something that I just generally love, and be able to help people and connect with people and do wonderful things like we're doing right now, I think that it's truly amazing. And now I'm still doing TikTok, but I'm also moving on to putting more content out on Instagram and stuff like that. And hopefully, one day do even more things like do podcasts like we're doing right now and just put as much out there as possible. So yeah, I'm very, very happy about that. And I have something like I have another like thing that I can talk about too with one of my platforms, but it's not really to do with social media. It's a foundation that I'm a part of, which
Oh,
I can talk about with.
go ahead and talk about
Yeah.
it.
It's okay if you want to. Sorry, I talk a lot, so you can just like. I'm sorry.
No, I just think I think it's cool that that social media has turned into what it is today to be like a resource for different communities, not just people with disabilities. Like there's different communities out there, and that's how we reach one another. But like when I was kind of similar to you. Like when I started a little bit about this is gonna go back like a couple years for oh wow, this is gonna date me. But when I was 18, I started my blog Wheelchair Whitney, and it was big on Tumblr, and I also liked um I also did YouTube videos where I similar to you. I mean, there wasn't so much hype about it like 15 years ago, but I got a lot of views and stuff. But I also at that time I also got a lot of trolls and a lot of hate and a lot of like weirdos. So
Yeah.
it made me want it made me like pause and not like want to post anything until like I became more comfortable with my disability. And then I'm just like as I got older and I was like, I just don't care anymore. Like say what you will, like your words won't hurt me.
Yeah.
But like have you experienced any type of like hate or like anything like that? And
Yeah. So when I started YouTube and started getting into posting about my disability, I did get a lot of hate, which was difficult for me. And at the time, similar to you, I wasn't fully able to not care about what people thought about me. So it affected me a lot as well. And I took breaks from YouTube several times within like the 4 years that I was doing it consistently, because I didn't feel like people cared about me. And I was like, you know what, like I don't accept myself enough yet to be able to put myself out there and not care what people think about me. So I completely understand. And with TikTok, it was the same thing. When I started posting about my disability more, I started getting hate, especially the video that like blew up. I got a lot of hate, and I don't know why I did this to myself, but I went through comments, and it was just some of them were very hurtful, but I just tried to keep telling myself that, don't stop. This is you and this is who you are, and you have to embrace it, and you are helping people to the best of your abilities. So I continued, and I just stopped looking at comments on videos. Like I'll reply to comments, but I won't like go through all of them if I notice that some of them are bad. But it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it it's a honestly it's a really good feeling when you finally start to realize that you don't care as much as you did about what people think about you. It's like a freedom. Like I've noticed since posting. Oh,
Hold
sorry.
on. My family just my my family just started up. I'm gonna pause this really fast. Oh, we're back. Okay, we're back. I don't know where we left off because it was such a good conversation.
um,
We were talking about like YouTube and stuff, and I think you brought up yeah, like something that I thought about while you were talking is that like YouTube and TikTok. I haven't really delved into TikTok, but where you can be like where it's not just like a snapshot of your life. Like I feel like Instagram is like your highlight reel, but
yeah,
YouTube is like more authentic. That is where um I have gotten the most like negative comments because my disability is more out there on YouTube
it's
because
more visual.
yeah because like for like Instagram like pictures you can't tell that you can't tell I have a disability because unless I show my wheelchair. But like the authentic side comes from like an actual video, like
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like so that's just something I thought of when you're talking is but I love how it's the social media is just giving you a way to connect to others and things like that. So where do you what are your goals for the future when it comes to when
what
it
are my goals to do with the future? So I just want to keep pushing the social media, one because it's something that I love, and two because I'm doing it for a good cause and something that is important. And I think that it is extremely important for people to realize the it, things that we need and things that we have to deal with and things that are just that need to be said about the disability community. And so any way that I can do that, I'm going to do that 100%. Um, a couple months ago, someone from the rehabilitation center that I used to go to as a child for physiotherapy reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be on the board of a foundation who helps rehabilitation centers and donors who give gifts and stuff to help the rehabilitation centers and the people who go there for physiotherapy or speech therapy. So I was honored to be a part of the board, and we started doing meetings and starting to talk about social media and how we were going to go forward with talking about the disability community. And so I was very excited about that because I was on a team with a bunch of other people. I was the youngest on the team, so it was also kind of intimidating because I'm 19 years old and I'm talking about my disability and talking about my childhood and bringing and incorporating my ideas to do with this board. Like, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
that's
um
but like that speaks to the volumes of social media that that like your platform and the like how you share about your life essentially gave you this opportunity to be on this board. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so a few months into going to these Zoom meetings and talking about different activities, I was asked if I wanted to be on a newsletter cover and write an article for the newsletter for the foundation that will be sent to all of the donors, and those including new donors and old donors, and just being published out there throughout the rehabilitation centers, which is, I was like, are you joking? Like, that was my reaction. I was like, this is, like, I was mind blown. I was like, this, I can't believe it. So we had done like a whole photo shoot. I wrote an article with my mom, talking about like my childhood. They had sent me like questions to answer, and I just got a copy of it. And it's amazing. And I was just like, today I was going to publish a picture of the newsletter and write like a caption about it, but when I first got the actual copy of it, I had made a video, and it's in one of my highlights on my Instagram about the
That's awesome.
article and everything like that. But it was just, it still to this day, I look at it, I'm on my kitchen table and I'm like, that's me advocating for disability rights and disability accessibility.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is awesome.
That opportunity was given to you all because you started advocating for yourself on a social media platform.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I always ask at the end of every episode is, what advice would you give to others that are like wanting to like, they're in similar situations as yourself? Like, what if there's somebody out there that wants to get more involved in advocating through social media? Like, what advice would you give them?
I think you just have to do it. Start an Instagram, start a TikTok, start a YouTube. Even if you don't even know what you're going to talk about, just film a video, talk about who you are. And if you're not comfortable with doing that yet, reach out to people if you know anyone. Reach out to rehabilitation centers that you've gone to see if there are any boards that you can get onto, to do with making and talking about activities or stuff to do with helping rehabilitation centers. I think that you really just have to put yourself out there, to the best of your abilities, and just see where it goes. But at least that's what I did, and I tell people and I try to encourage people all the time to just, pardon?
I say it all the time that you just have to put yourself out there and like take that risk, because the worst thing that can happen to you is the person on the other end says no. Like, that's the worst thing that can happen.
Exactly. So I think that it's really just about putting yourself out there. And if someone is not comfortable with visually putting themselves out there on social media, which is completely understandable, and it took me a long time to, up until like now, I still struggle with confidence, but I've gotten a lot better within the past few years. But it's just about putting yourself out there in any way that you can, making a few phone calls to see if anyone is interested in starting anything, like fundraising, anything. I think that that's really just what you have to do, is just, advocate for yourself and advocate what you have had to go through, and put that out there and make it understood that awareness needs to be put out there more, and put out your own experiences. I think that that's what's really important, because it has an impact when you see someone that's actually going through it and actually has to live a certain way, or, understands what it's like, and people are able to relate to them. It's just, I think that you really just have to put yourself out there.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. So where can people, since we talked about all this social media, where can people follow you on social media, Alex?
My Instagram, it's alex.slaney with an underscore. My TikTok is the same thing except with another underscore. YouTube is just Alex Slaney with a space. really, just just look up my name and you'll probably find me even on
Yeah.
Google. You could,
Well,
but yeah, I
I
think
will
that.
I will put all that in the description below. And
Thank you.
thank you, Alex, for agreeing to be on an episode of Spastic Chatter. I really enjoyed talking with you. And if you're watching this and you want to be on the episode, feel free to reach out. Anywhere you see this, comment comment below, or there's a form in the description if you want to be formal and fill out a form. Um, and check back next week for another episode of Spastic Chatter.
Bye. Thank you so much. I'm so happy about this. I think that it's amazing again what you're doing, and to everyone that's watching, thank you, and you are amazing, and go out there and be your wonderful self.
Awesome. That was an awesome way to end it.